Yeah.
Well, they just had, interestingly enough, I was at the show a few months ago, right before he re-entered rehab, Artie Lang. And Artie was...
poor Artie.
Yeah, Artie was having a rough time for a while, but from what I understand, he's doing well. I think he went through some rehab, and I don't know if he might have got picked up again as far as like a unrelated charge, but I know he looked a lot better. He was working community service at a gas station or of some sort in Jersey, and that guy YouTubed the video clip of him pumping gas in Jersey. It's all full serve. Gas isn't cheap there anymore, but it's all full serve.
How is that community service?
I don't understand it either. I think it was a work release type program.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
I
You had to get some
misspoke,
sort of job. And just,
maintain him.
Okay, so your job is that you're basically a freelance comedian, and you're supposed to be sober and work mostly in bars. That's not going to work for us. You need to go to a gas station.
It is definitely
You want me to check? You want me to check the audio?
Yeah, we should be fine.
Check.
Sorry about that.
oh, hey, somebody text. Well,
Now they'll be able to hear it on the stream, though, right?
On the
DJ Tony
download, yeah.
Flash.
I can actually probably pipe in the audio for the video later, so don't worry about it.
Right.
I'll make it
Did,
work.
my trivia
Do we
guy.
definitely have?
Yes, we
sound?
definitely have audio. We're
Okay,
good. now.
good.
And the interesting thing, like you said, Mahoney's and Laugh It Up, they do a great job, and I work really closely with the guys that own the club, as far as we do a lot of one-nighters like we do at Cousins and whatnot. So we always try to keep an eye on who has who as far as performers and work together, so we don't essentially have one guy on a Saturday here and a week later right down the road in Wappingers. We try to spread out the talent and. And I'm looking forward to June 29th. I'm pretty positive it's good. I have a bodyguard coming for the next show.
Yeah,
Cool.
we do.
Rue,
he does.
a little shout out to Rue Medley, Rue's Bodyguard Services. I comped him 2 tickets to the show, and he's going to be there in attendance. He's does a lot of VIP bodyguard services based out of the Hudson Valley.
This is a bodyguard
So I can stay
services.
behind the bar and not
Yeah,
have to worry.
We don't have to worry about him getting And I said to him, listen, Rue, I said, I'll give you a couple tickets. I know you work every weekend, but I gave him like 2 months' notice, and he's going to be there on the 29th.
That's
so.
awesome.
Yeah, nice.
I know. It's
Bodyguard
it's crazy
services.
that
I
it's
didn't know that was a
Listen,
thing.
I mean, if the
But,
owner of Cousins could duck, we probably
it wouldn't be a problem.
I worked for the state. I tried to get comp every chance I could, so I just take a shot to the face once in a while.
You see,
I'll write that down.
you see movies like Taken where they're like, "Come on, man, I got a job for you," and he's like, "Oh, cool, you're a bodyguard." And I never once thought, "How did I get into that?" Not me.
I've looked into it. It's a fucking nightmare.
Are the Taken still being shot? Or is Liam still?
I'm sure.
Who's
I'm
left
sure.
to take? The cat?
There's more somewhere.
There's nothing left to take, right?
They were
Yeah,
that's a
I
long
thought
title,
about
man.
getting my
That's a long-
security license when I got my full carry, and it's just I don't want to deal with any of that.
That's a
Just
lot of- that's a lot of
paperwork
stress.
and classes.
But
and
think about all the Armed and Dangerous references you can make while you're on the job.
yeah,
Nobody?
That's true.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true. There's
John Candy, Eugene Levy? It's a classic.
John.
So
yeah. There is no way I would own a bar and not have a gun in my pocket the whole fucking time. People are such pieces of shit.
Well, I'm not going to really divulge too much information on that.
You got a shotgun under the bar like a fucking
But
He's a Red Rider.
yeah,
yeah, Red Rider BB gun with a scope.
and a thing
And a
in the
thing
stock
that
that tells
tells
time.
I can sit in the
this
office.
thing in the
I
stock.
can sit in the office. And,
Oh, you mean a fucking clock? You dumb shit.
Holy shit.
so yeah, we got Jeff Norris though, right? So that's,
Oh yeah, I
so-
was going to talk about the guys that were going to be there. So
Yeah, so
yeah, let's bring them up.
we've got we've got a great lineup. So I'm going to MC the night / security guard. And
can't be too careful.
We have the feature act is going to be John Ziegler. John is a regular at all the clubs throughout New York and Long Island. He's big at Governor's, the Brokerage, Gotham, you name it, he's worked it. John is, I really like to call it a co-headliner show because they're both closers, and John is fantastic. And then Jeff Norris is going to be, the final act of the night. Jeff had a couple parts on Boardwalk Empire on HBO, aside the sheriff. He also played in My Super Ex-Girlfriend with Owen Wilson, and he is currently ranked in the top 10 of Royal Caribbean as far as overall entertainers. So he does a lot of cruise work, and we're really happy to have him at Cousins. He's a very hard headliner to secure. He works all over the country, and including the Mediterranean cruises as well. So it's going to be a great night, and it's the audience for what is it, $15? I think.
Yeah, $15. I mean,
$15 bucks.
and no drink minimum. You could just buy one beer. Hopefully, you buy more, but
Yeah.
Buy a
But not-
growler and a
but
T-shirt.
not too
and a
many.
hat.
Not too many that you hit the owner. No,
I'm never gonna live that one down. That's
Oh
all right.
man, do they get a discount if they say, "Oh, yeah, I heard you got punched in the face on the Dead Radio podcast"?
Sure, I'll give him a $5 pint.
Yeah, there you go.
Doesn't count for you, Adam, because you can go through the whole list.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
that was a fun day.
yeah. He's like, we did a live show at Cousins a while back, and we got there, and they got all the beers on the chalkboard listed, and Adam looks at it and goes, "I'm gonna run down the list," and I'm like,
Drink all of them.
I have no doubt that you can do that.
It was
And
what,
then
it was like
everybody's
12,
just like,
right?
he's going to go down the list. I'm like, why? Are you guys really
I figured he
shocked
was going to
right
get
now?
flight boxes and just do the flights of them, but no.
No.
He did the whole fucking list and got another 2.
Yeah, yeah.
I really liked this one. Oh, by all means.
But
we
like
had, 8
halfway
fingers.
through, I was like, I think we should count the cider that they have on tap, even though it's not.
well, how many do you have total? Like, what's the total?
like
I've
12.
got 9 beers on,
all right.
and then
Yeah.
1 cider. So
one
I've
cider.
got
Yeah, so it's
2 guest
so it's-
lines, and then
Yeah, so it's 10 beers.
yeah,
And I had 12.
Well,
it's okay. It's all right.
well, I know that Chef Steph is there as well. Is
Yes.
it Chef Steph?
Yep,
And
Chef
he ma-
Steph. Now we got real food.
Yeah, the burger. That was
He
one of the
does.
great things about comedy is the comp food. I've probably, I started this at 2:30, and
Yeah.
I'm now like 170. But just the comp food is awesome, and Steph makes a mean spicy jalapeno burger.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
delicious.
Puts the little peppers on there, get you
Peppers.
going.
And the pickle guy was there last time. Remember our last
Yes,
show?
he was. Yeah,
Corey's
he actually
Pickles.
ran outside when he saw the scuffle take.
He did.
take
He was
shape.
gonna throw a box of
Oh.
butter chips at him.
That's why I found them outside.
He's gonna hit him with his
pickle
pickle.
brine in his eyes.
his big black pickle. Like on the
So you had
shit.
strawberries going today, too.
I did, yeah. I got 2 flats of strawberries, which is probably 30 pounds worth, somewhere in that
Yeah.
realm. I do the chocolate strawberry stout that I do every strawberry season, and I take all the strawberries, I clean them, hand slice them, and then 1 container I take and I put cocoa powder over top of them, and I just let them sit in that overnight. And then the other 3 containers, I take 1 portion of it and I boil it down so that I get mostly just like a
Jam.
jam
yeah.
almost, of strawberries. You all right over there?
just keep talking.
So, yeah. Speak slower.
Slower, more into the microphone.
Have his strawberry shortcake right now.
Yeah, so then I take all that and I brew the beer. It's a stout, obviously, because that's what I'm known for, I guess you could say. And I take cocoa nibs and I put that into the fermenter with the strawberries and just kind of blend it all together. And it's not a heavy fruit beer, so to speak, but it's just got the hint of strawberries with some chocolate backbone, and
That
Sounds
sounds
good.
What would define a fruit beer then?
heavy fruit notes. So like alembic is considered a fruit beer. So anything
You're
you
gonna
open
add
up,
like fruit juice to that.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You open it up and to me a fruit beer is anything you open up and you drink and you get like heavy fruit notes all over the place.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I
that's
know
how I
exactly.
look at
Yeah,
it.
okay. So the
Yeah, think
lambic-
of
I
that
just want it to be
shitty ass
balanced.
Sam Adams cranberry lambic
Oh,
that's in
God.
the bottom of 100,000 fucking fridges in America.
yeah.
Just be like, yeah, that's from the mix pack from
The
2
winter.
Thanksgivings ago.
yeah. They bring it over for every fucking
It's in
time.
the vegetable drawer,
Yeah.
like in the fucking bottom of the fridge.
next
Use
to
that
old
to cook
Fezziwig.
Yeah.
Open it up and cook with that one.
Shit.
That's what I do. I try to make seasonal beers. I don't like the fruits that I add. I just want it to be kind of like a backdrop in the beer. I want the malt to stand out with just hints of the fruit that I put into the beer.
We should, I think I mentioned this maybe last week, but I was just driving on Sheaf Road today, you know Sheaf Road, and there's like wild raspberries, like sour berries, growing all along that road. You could seriously, if you spent a day, you could pick 20 pounds of the stuff. I usually do a mead, but you should do a beer with that too. That'd be kind of neat.
Might not be a bad idea,
Yeah,
which leads
yeah.
me into my next segment.
Oh,
The homebrew
homebrew
competition that we're
doing.
doing.
Yeah, as he
Oh,
started
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
that
Too.
beer, I said fuck because I have mead ready at home and I forgot to bring it.
Oh
So
no!
I'll bring it next week. But
Is Amy watching? Maybe she can bring it over.
she's not gonna bring it over. It's 7:55. She is. I mean, it's what, June? She's in a heated blanket on the couch right now. She's not moving. She's got her dog annoying the crap out of her on the couch, and she's watching that Picnic at something rock on Netflix that looks super weird.
Okay.
That's what she's doing right now, and she will not bring us mead.
All right,
But what I'm going to do is I pulled off some because like mead, unless you're going to add sulfites, you got to kind of rack out the yeast. Otherwise, you lose all your sweetness, and it just gets really dry. Okay. So I usually just pour off a little bit, taste it while we're in the fermentation process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry hop it and add a little malt so I can call it a beer. And then it's going to be an experimental beer.
He didn't say dry hump it. He said dry
I
hop it.
I'm listening very carefully.
That ran through my head. Sure.
So it's a dandelion mead. So that'll be
Okay.
ready for your homebrew competition. So when can we? You can drop stuff off now, right?
Drop it off now, yeah.
And when's the deadline?
So the competition's on the 27th. I'm going to do probably the deadline be the 20th of July.
Okay.
I've got, I think, 6 beers entered in so far. About 12 people that have entered, but only 6 beers that have physically been entered. The other people have entered. They've either brewed it and just waiting to bottle it or can it. Or,
Well, I just talked to my dad yesterday. He's probably going to do his brown ale.
Cool.
And he's got, I think it was a stout that he has ready, so he might just bottle it for you.
Put it in a growler too if you want.
Yeah.
You know, I've got it's gonna be fun. We're gonna try and make it fun. That's what it's all about. It's just an idea of fun.
Mine's going to be like in one of these.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
What are you
with the
drinking
dust
right
too?
now, Adam? What are you?
I'm drinking PBR.
I'm just
well,
gonna say, how is that happening?
He
right
shouldn't
now?
be.
This is
He
no,
shouldn't
it's
be.
because I'm waiting for the segment to open this.
He said the magic words, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. You opened it up.
It's what are you drinking? I also realized I didn't offer you a beer. All I have is PBR at the moment.
I appreciate it. I'm good to go. If you had a milkshake, I'd take you up on it.
I mean, we could probably make that happen on the break. Ryan's an ice cream lover, so
There's none in the house.
none in the house
Nope.
because you ate it all.
Yes, I did.
Man,
All
I've
right,
only
we
slept
got- you're
with
gonna have
two.
We
to-
actually were saving a
Ben
half
and
gallon
Jerry.
of mint chocolate chip for guests, and then I said, "Fuck that shit,"
And
promptly-
time I'm coming
and
in.
promptly ate it all within like 2-3 days.
Where do you get the mint chip? What one do you like?
I just get
getting
the Stewart
serious over
stuff.
here now.
It's
Yeah.
it's solid.
Stewart's
It's
is the
fine. I don't want. I'm not spending $12 on a half gallon of ice cream because for gourmet shit.
Yeah.
Stewart's
I'm
has
fine
good
with
ice
cotton candy ice cream. That's good.
Yeah,
Stewart's has good ice cream.
my I don't eat a lot of ice cream because I'm trying not to be large.
I don't either.
But,
I don't eat a
yeah.
lot either. But if it shows up,
But when it's there, you're eating.
it's getting
Yeah.
fucking eaten.
So whenever I work a double at I'm a bartender, but whenever I work a double, I go, okay, I get 2 meals. One has to be super healthy, and then I can also get a personal pizza, right? If I work a double that's so busy I don't get dinner, I go, I'm having a dessert. So I'll have like cheesecake or ice cream. Dude, Jane's Ice Cream, have you heard of this stuff? It's like a
Out of
local.
Kingston?
Yeah.
Oh, it's delicious.
So they have a coffee and cookies ice cream. It's coffee ice cream with like probably not brand name Oreos, but like Oreo type cookies mixed in. Fuck, so good.
I think they're out of Kingston.
I think so.
They're delicious. It's all
I'll look next
real
time
good
they
homemade
pull
ice
in.
cream.
But yeah, we stopped at a barbecue joint that had it, and I was almost like, well, I just had a pastrami sandwich, so maybe I'll have ice cream. Then I didn't do it.
This segment wasn't "What are you ice creaming?" It's
Yeah,
"What are you drinking?"
it's true.
So,
Can I get a glass? Yeah, I just want to.
You want one or two?
you want?
Well, yeah, I'm
You want
gonna
one?
crack one open with him. Sure. Might as
all
well.
right, this
There you
has
go.
this
Fancy
has
pants.
dishwasher sand all over it.
Very good.
This does as well. Look at that. That's nice.
You
Does
need
it?
so does this one. You need jet dry.
Oh my god.
Get some jet dry, sir.
We could just wipe it out.
I'm just gonna drink it out of the can.
Yeah, we could totally
I just
drink
mostly
that.
wanted to smell it.
What the fuck? Yeah, these are all screwed up.
You need
Don't
jet
drink
dry.
out of this.
Get the jet dry.
If you say- Stop saying jet dry.
Jet dry.
Oh Jesus.
This
Now,
episode of the Dead Radio podcast
What? So
Sponsored,
what'd you
brought
bring
to
us?
by Jet
Or
Track.
what'd you
Can
bring
me
Adam?
that
and
bottle
not
of
me?
water? Is that unopened?
Yeah, that is an unopened
Yeah.
bottle of water. Yeah, well, mine doesn't have a sticker on it because I figured I'd just bring one with a sticker or label. It is the Bearded Waffle Imperial Stout. I remember I was on the last time when we
Yes.
did that beer.
Yes.
It is that beer aged in a Dennings Point Distillery bourbon barrel for 4 months and then on vanilla beans for about a week and a half.
As in Beacon, Enningsville?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I was able to finagle
Now, he cleansed his palate properly.
he
with
did,
the
he
water.
did.
you notice that?
We used to go.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me smell it.
I did have this when you guys did the
Oh,
opener.
shit, that smells good.
Oh, I got it all over me. Shot it all
Yeah.
over myself.
I do. I mean, I especially like that you guys do like the casked beer, and you're like, this is the release, served warm and flat,
Yep.
because that's how beer fucking was. You know, if you age it in a barrel, if you didn't do it in a cask under pressure, that's how it was.
Yeah.
You know, when you had beer 2 weeks after it was brewed, that fucker was flat.
I serve
and-
it right out of the
yeah.
barrel.
Yeah.
I personally feel you get most of the flavor
Yeah.
from a uncarbonated
Yeah.
room temperature cask.
So I mean, I like that you do that, but I also enjoy the carbonated version.
Yeah.
So it's definitely
tasty.
different.
And then I got my nice label, my face on the label there. It's always
Yeah.
good
Eating some vanilla beans.
Yeah, that's really funny. I like that.
or disturbing, whichever way you want to look at it.
But it's great. It's what you'd expect for an imperial waffle stout. You know, it's got perfect level of sweetness. It's not over the top. I feel like I could have 2 or 3, whereas sometimes you have an imperial stout and you're like, that's like dessert.
Yeah,
Yes.
heavy.
They're usually very high alcohol too.
Yeah.
So the imperial shit. So that's another factor too.
Yeah.
If it's got that alcohol bite.
This
on
is
it
this is
also
10%, but I mean,
I-
you don't really get that from it.
sometimes. Yeah.
I try to make it to where it hides that alcohol bite. That's why I do a lot of lower carbonation on some of them, and I blend it to where it's more sweet. Like what this is done with some lactose. So I hope you're not lactose intolerant.
I mean, I am, but it's
It's
one
fine.
can's not.
By the
gonna
time
do
it starts
Yeah.
acting up, you guys will be long gone.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair
And
enough.
then
fair enough.
you know.
I can
And we don't have soy milk at my current job, so I've been microdosing with heavy cream. So
Oh.
yeah.
Go home and crawl into
Yeah.
that heated blanket with Amy and just start letting them fly.
That's usually not.
That
That's
would
usually
probably
not
kill
my
her.
issue. I just feel like, I gain 4 pant sizes. Like I just feel
Yeah.
bloated. You know.
I feel like sometimes when I have too much milk or ice cream, for instance, those 2 days after of tackling that pint or that half gallon, not pint.
Yeah. Pints one
it's
session
like
for you,
those
right?
farts that were you're like,
Dairy farts.
I'm just gonna change.
Yeah.
Nothing came out. I'm just gonna change
Just-
for
Yeah,
peace
change
of
your,
mind.
change your
to be
underwear.
safe.
Yeah. Just
Well, I
in
got
case.
scared driving.
Just be like,
him
I've
over
only
here.
had 2 underwear
I
changes
said he
today.
had
so
kale
I should-
salad for lunch. I got nervous driving him over. I said,
I
"Oh,
tried
Jesus."
kale for the first time today, and I'll never do that again.
How'd you have it?
It was the kale chips. So
No.
yeah, no,
Terrible.
Wrong.
Listen.
No, you want to like grow kale in your backyard, cut it down, rib it, make a salad that day.
Okay.
The
all right,
fresher
the
it
chips.
is, the younger it is. Like when you buy, if you buy kale, yes. If you buy kale at Stop and Shop, it's going to taste like bug spray,
Okay. Oh yeah.
a la Jim Gaffigan. It's going to taste like bug spray. But if you get fresh stuff at the farmer's market, it has like a very like woody, nutty kind of flavor,
Okay.
but it's super soft, but it also holds up really well. So you put kale on a burger, it doesn't like go limp to hit the bell again.
Gotcha. Go limp.
no.
Oh, you messed them up.
Ah, you missed.
Well, I'm making an effort. I'm
Yeah.
trying. I tried kale. I'm trying to get my cholesterol under my credit score and do as best as I can. Especially with the summer season. I've got a
Yeah.
couple of Speedos on order on Amazon. I want to look good in. And I've been trying salad, not the traditional potato salad and egg salad, but the normal salads. And I had kale chips for the first time today, and they were just terrible. So I don't think I'll ever. But now I'll take your advice and put some fresh kale on a burger. That sounds
Yeah.
go.
a lot better.
You got to do it with something. What'd you say? I got a couple Speedos on order.
Back order for Amazon. Yeah, Amazon Prime. Yeah, I want to look good.
Yeah, he sends me the pictures too.
Dude,
It's rough.
oh, you get a lot of good
I
pictures.
do get a lot of pictures from you.
He gets a lot of good pictures.
Make sure my kids aren't home.
I always have to ask you, too. Are you
You do.
Are
You
you
do give me-
solo? Are
Yes.
you working?
A friend of mine who's a homosexual was like, "Hey man, I'm going to Fire Island for a vacation.
Oh.
What do you think? What do you think of these swim trunks?" And they're like, they're this big.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm using the 3 to 4 inch length.
Yeah, it looks
For
like
those who are
it looks
listening
like
to
you're
download.
wearing. It's like a tube top but shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, which one should I get?" And he shows me the first set, and they're like electric blue with pink accents and flamingos all over it. I'm like, "Well, you're going to Fire Island, you might as well just do the pink flamingos." Yeah, he
lean
goes-
into it.
He's like, "I understand that, but then there's this," and it was a pair of sheer black swim trunks. They were swim trunks, but they were sheer. And I was like, "Huh."
Wow.
I'm not sure. Maybe get both.
Yeah, go ahead. That's the best way out of
Just
that.
change, just get a
You
bunch.
gotta have a costume change.
Just keep, flipping back and forth because I'm not sure what's more gay, black sheer or electric blue and pink flamingos.
With the pink flower.
the electric blue and
He
pink
did go with
flamingos.
both, by
He
the
did
way.
buy
The
both.
I
electric
didn't want to
blue
leave
and-
everybody in suspense.
As far as the print goes, there could be a straight white man that goes to Vassar that would buy like a shirt that would have that on there.
Yeah, I bought a yellow shirt
Yeah.
with pineapples on it the other day.
Coles?
No, not at Kohl's. I stopped shopping at Kohl's because their fashion sense is
It's gone.
detrimental
It's
to me.
gone. So where do you go? Caldor?
I went to Marshall's.
Oh, Marshall.
It's Montgomery Ward, actually.
I miss those places. Remember Service Merchandise?
Yeah, I worked. My first job was service.
Yeah, we
merchandise.
used to go there and steal shit.
Yeah.
I stole
Off the conveyor
so
belt?
much shit from service merchandise.
In the
Oh
old,
my god! Yeah,
Dutchess Mall or South Hills?
South Hills.
And then he started working there.
no.
Then he started.
Yeah. I
He
guess I
stole
was
even
probably
more.
shoplifting.
We used to go there just to steal shit, and then we're like, Adam works there now. We could steal shit without getting caught.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Kohl's, I agree with you on the clothing. It can be a little bland, but they take anything back. I
Yeah.
mean, their
That is-
return
that
policy
is-
is the. I had a guy in front of me a couple weeks ago.
Except for they're also this was on sale in 2016, so you're gonna get it for
you're
that price.
gonna get it. Well, a guy in front of me in line had a pound of sugar and a donut, and he got like $8 in Kohl's cash. They don't give a shit. They believe you. they trust wherever you bought it from. I mean, you could walk in there with an iron from James Way in 1989, and they're gonna give you money back for it. But
It might be $5, but
my-
you got something.
and they've got all. Like I saw a guy yesterday too. He had a 10% off coupon. I was like, this guy's either rich or an asshole. Who uses a 10% coupon at Kohl's? The scratch off is a minimum of like what 20 or 30, right? Everybody's going for the big.
Usually 15. I'm never getting the 10.
I always see the people are
one.
online looking for the 30s a lot, but
Oh, that's the wife. She's just like, look how much we saved. I'm like, I kind of feel like because Marshalls
Yeah, it's
doesn't
just
have
like,
all that
I
shit.
kind of
No,
feel like we
Marshalls
wouldn't have
is just
spent the
whatever
money.
you
in the
Marshalls
first
is
place.
like, this is what it costs, but I'm picking up T-shirts that are $7, and I'm like,
exactly.
at Kohl's they're like, oh, they're $14, but if you buy one, you get one free, and it's just like, oh, it's a $7 T-shirt, but now I have fucking 2 shitty T-shirts
shitty ones.
instead of just
So-
one shitty T-shirt for
So-
$7.
5 to 10 times at Marshall's, I've had like an armload of stuff, and then gone to the line and said, "I'm not doing this."
Oh,
don't
And
like
just
every
fucking put it
fucking
down.
time you walk in
Yeah.
that place, there's no line. You're done with your shit. You get up to the front, and there's 30 people online.
Yeah,
It's
I'm like, this is going to be
ridiculous.
45 fucking minutes. Not like I just take everything, I put it in the big cart where they're going to bring everything back by the door, and I leave. And then I go and buy shirts on Amazon. I bought this shirt at Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply. Wow. Where is the Is there one in?
One in
Right
Highland,
across
I
the
know.
river.
Yeah, right
in
across the
Highland,
river. You head south
going
on
there tonight?
9W.
I might. I need a new tractor. I don't do well with push mowers.
So,
Well, You want
we-
to take a quick break?
yeah, let's get
I
a
gotta
quick break.
pee.
Pee, regroup, and then we'll be right back. We got Aaron from Cousins Aleworks in, and also Gene Trifilo. They're promoting the June 29th Crazy Gene's Night of Comedy at 9 p.m. Doors at 8:30. That's a Saturday. Tickets are $15. Gene's going to be emceeing, and we also got John Ziegler and Jeff Norris. Big time headliners.
Yep. Big guns.
So,
Yeah.
oh God, I almost threw out my bestest pen. Oh. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna do our typical, I'm gonna turn down the volume this time because I'm a professional radio guy. Okay, cancel that. There we go. What is happening?
All right.
So yeah, we'll be right back. We're gonna talk some more about some comedy. I really want to talk more about the local comedy scene and where to go from here.
Talk about that.
So we'll be right back. Enjoy Womb of Nations.
Do you know what I wanna do to you? Do you know what you mean to me? Have you a clue? Do you know the truth? This is how you made me feel. I wanna drown you in a bathtub filled with all your ex's tears. Wanna tie you to my car and drag you around the world for years. I wanna punch you in the face, won't hesitate. I have no fear. Kick you while you're on the ground and then I'll come back for a little more, a little more, a little more. You tell me you don't understand. You're a poor excuse for a man. You're so vain, kinda stupid and insane. Got no spine, no future, no brain. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't know what else to say, except I wanna drown you in a bathtub filled with all your ex's tears. Wanna tie you to my car and drag you around the world for years. I wanna punch you in the face, won't hesitate. I have no fear. Kick you while you're on the ground and then I'll come back for a little more, a little more, a little more. You told me I don't wanna settle down while you're off with girls all over town. I've been told there's no one like you. I could say the same, a different tone, a different view. Well, I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't know what's left to say, except I wanna drown you in a bathtub filled with all your ex's tears. Wanna tie you to my car and drag you around the world for years. Punch you in the face, won't hesitate. I have no fear. Kick you while you're on the ground and then I'll come back for a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more.
Woke up this morning, got up, went out, ate by myself. It's so hard to swallow, swallow the things you love. And it's not easy throwing all those things, all that you want to forget. And she's gone away. She's gone away. She's gone away. Not like I wait for no one. I sit down, I write by myself. back on, and she's gone away. She's gone away. She's gone away, not like before. Falling and turning and coming below. I lost my direction and don't even know. Falling and turning and coming below. But you look in my eyes and it don't even show. Falling and turning below. Falling and turning, it shows. Why don't you understand? The fate only heals all the dark wounded scabs. Falling and turning and coming below. But you look in my eyes and it don't even show. Falling and turning below. Falling and turning, it shows.
Let's say goodbye to the nighttime goodbye. Let's send the dark time away.
We took an oath to be someone, so wash your hands.
This is Logan Callahan. You can check out my music at logancallahan.bandcamp.com. You were listening to Dead Radio Podcast, the #1 podcast in Poughkeepsie, because fuck Darkside.
Is the keto diet thing done? Are we done?
Yeah, we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Okay, good.
But I'm going back
Let's talk
on it.
comedy.
I'm
Let's
going
talk
back
comedy.
on it, so we'll probably talk about it next week.
We were just talking about diet spiraling out of control once you get that first little.
It's like old school.
Those
Once it
little
touches
taste.
the lips, it's so
yeah,
good.
yeah, it's so good.
You know, I did, though. I had a box of Lucky Charms in the cabinet, and I was out of milk, and all I had left was heavy cream. And I said, "The hell with it, we're going all in tonight." I just-
Wow.
That's how it starts.
That's
you run out of
professional.
milk, you know, use whatever's in the fridge, half and half, heavy
Yeah.
cream. You can
Jesus.
dilute vanilla ice cream. It works.
That's why this place is so. That's why there's no food here. Is because I will eat it all. And
Jesus.
if it wasn't, yeah, I'd be 250 pounds if it wasn't for my wife. She just
Yeah, keeping you in line.
Yeah, oh fuck yeah. The moment I'm left alone, it's just like sweet. I'm getting wings.
Where do you like for wings in Poughkeepsie, Ryan?
Wings in Poughkeepsie. Oh, I love Hurricane. So good. I like Billy Bob's wings.
Billy
I thought
Bob's.
I always
Try
thought.
the
Is that
wings
old
of
Dutch
tomato.
cabin?
Yeah?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, they I like the way that they do them. They're not fried. They bake them off
Which
when they
place is
grill
this?
them.
Oh, they bake them.
Yeah.
Oh,
See, actually
So
my
they like par bake them at the beginning of the day.
right.
So they're like half done, and then they grill them.
Who
And
does
then they
it?
grill 'em.
Tomato Cafe. I bartend there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
my favorite
And they're
one-
willing to do all flats, which is what I prefer.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Yeah, you're
I mean, maybe they won't do it for you.
So you
but
like
they do it for
flats,
me.
but that's
Yeah.
right. You like
Yeah,
flats. I like the drum.
Oh,
The
there you
drums.
go.
Yeah. So that's we found that out when we
Yeah,
had
yeah.
our New Year's Day remote podcast at Buffalo Wild Wings,
Yeah,
which
'cause
went horribly.
Because they came out with a Mountain Dew fucking chicken wing. So we're like, well, we gotta go.
We gotta
So
go
went on- We went on New Year's Day with our remote and fucking set it up. And we're sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings, like holding microphones. And like the waitress coming over, no, we're fine. Thank you.
in yoga pants, no doubt. I love the yoga pants at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, I thought you meant we were in yoga pants.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I have a pair of yoga pants.
They
They're
all wear that jersey.
it looks like a glass of
Yes,
beer
jerseys
and
and
period
yoga
stains.
pants.
I don't know. Yeah, they came out with a Mountain Dew flavored wet. It was not good.
It was not good.
Mm-mm.
Doesn't
Not
sound
good.
like it could be good.
My favorite wings.
But if you did like a lemon lime hot wing, like that would be
better.
pretty good.
Yeah,
But
you do
not like
lemon,
Mountain
you
Dew
lime,
flavored.
you
Mountain
do-
Dew is just they just
jalapenos.
call it lemon lime type of soda because there's
Yeah.
some lemon and some lime in there and a bunch of other shit.
Caffeine.
Fucking yellow number 5.
the wings. My favorite wings actually were at Baby Cakes. They used to do, which is no longer open. They used to do a jerk rub. I like dry rub
Yeah,
wings.
dry rub wings.
The jerk rub on theirs was great. It was like coconut and lime, and they had all
Jerk
kinds
rub.
of cool.
Yeah.
It was really good, and I really enjoyed those. But
Billy
yeah, I like
Bob-
Billy
Billy
Bob's. I
Bob's
like
has
their
got a
Gold
nice-
Rush because they like.
yeah.
I like weird shit.
Exotic flavors.
I don't like the same old shit. I also do like habanero a lot. The flavor of habanero, so I
Try
always reach.
AJ's in Wappingers.
Mm-mm.
They've got a dry rub. I don't know what's all in the mix, but I believe it is a jerk style rub.
Yeah,
and it's
they won't
delicious.
fucking tell you.
It
That's
is
for
fucking
sure.
delicious. But he also has his euthanasia wing, which is that's he's won the hottest wing over however many years now. Like I've tried the sauce where you literally put the sauce on your lip and you're done for at least 40 minutes.
It's bad.
You can't move.
Is
You're
that the
done.
one where you sign the disclosure?
Yes, you have to
Okay.
sign a waiver.
So, yeah.
And people have been throwing up from this. And he has a wing challenge. You get 6 of the wings if you can eat them. He doesn't even put a time limit. I don't think there's a time limit on it
No time limit?
because nobody's ever.
It's terrible.
Nobody's been able to do it.
They're hot. I had a the Wing Fest
Wow.
used to be years ago at the Sheraton. The very first one I think was at the Sheraton in Poughkeepsie, the Poughkeepsie Grand Hotel, and there was I don't know what business was there with the wing, with the droplet, with the concentrated sauce like that.
His isn't even like his is like actual stuff, like ingredients. It's
Okay.
not like a concentrate. He actually grows his own
Yeah,
peppers.
wears a fucking gas mask.
When
while
he
makes it.
serves you the wing, he serves it with
With gloves.
gloves on and eye protection.
So he makes his own
Yes.
sauce for the.
Yeah,
Excuse
he's
me,
probably
he-
using
so- and he
he's
doesn't
probably
use,
using
like-
ghost
he
chilies or
he
anything.
grows his own peppers for it and everything.
Oh, okay.
So he's got his own garden for it. I mean, the wings that he does that are like you can eat and not die are delicious. That one, when we did the Wing Wars with him at Poughkeepsie, because we did that Wing Wars with the brewery, it's called the Euthanasia Wing. He had people that would eat it,
EUT.
and they were puking in the bathroom because they were
Well,
their face was burning up.
That's what I was just going to say. I had that sauce, the wing sauce that you're describing,
Yeah.
and I went to the bathroom to take a leak a few minutes later, and I still had, I guess, a little bit of the habanero, and I shook a little too close to the tip. And as I
Oh,
did that, you know, I
Yeah.
got a little bit of the liquid heat into the tip. And there I am, a 300-pound man with his dick in the sink, just rinsing it off as people
Nah.
are coming in. It was the worst pain in the world because it got in the tip, and I was in there.
Yeah,
for
I haven't
20.
I haven't done that, but I've done that with Tiger Bomb.
Oh yeah,
That's real bad.
like icy hot.
Yeah,
that, yeah.
yeah.
Not supposed to rub one out with Tiger Balm though.
No. It's more like I would get done with karate and then take a shower, rub it on my shoulders, forget to wash my hands, and then scratch somewhere. And you're just in agony, especially after a shower. Your pores are all open.
Opened up.
The wife,
good.
the wife had, she got habaneros. She grew habaneros. Really,
She made them in the garden.
really nice ones. So
She 3D printed them.
gutted them,
using the
chopped
sun.
them up, turned them into a sauce and everything, and it was great. And
Yeah.
then when I was done, I did the whole thing. I touched my nose, I touched my eyes, I touched my dick, I touched my neck, the
You were-
inside of my elbow. I was just just red splotches everywhere, and I was like, oh god, oh god. I felt like a burn victim. Wow.
That is funny. Yeah, no, it gets in there those areas, and it's hard to get out. That's for sure.
Yeah, wings are definitely one of my favorites. But I did wanted to talk more. We just touched on it real
to talk.
Okay, whatever. Talked a little bit about the local comedy scene and everything in Poughkeepsie and bananas and everything moving. It's just kind of fledgling. I wouldn't say fledgling, but it's just starting to gain momentum now. Where do you see it? Do you think we have the area for some sort of like a comedy stop? Or do you think it needs to be? It just needs to be cultivated at this point.
I think
Hard hitting questions.
there's wow,
on
you
the
hit
Dead
hard there.
Radio podcast.
Podcast.
Fucking.
It's such a
Damn, what
load-
happened to me?
I'm not going to not point it out.
It's such a loaded question, Ryan. I'll tell you the truth. For example, okay, Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County, the Hudson Valley in general, there's more people here than ever. And there's also more people here than ever looking to do stuff.
Yes.
We talked about that
Yes.
earlier. And I really think that, so there's things that really help comedy, and I think there's things that can sometimes hurt it. And I think from a standpoint of, like New York City, for example, you obviously have the Cellar, you have Caroline's, you have Gotham, you have the monster clubs that are there, and they all do great Friday and Saturday. What you don't realize, and what is a little more challenging nowadays, is the weekday shows, and there's 7 days a week in New York City. I mean, you can get on stage, anywhere in New York during the week, but the audiences, they're less and less, and I think that the weekend comedy scene, I do think that there's room for growth, of course, in the area. And I think that, like I said, I think the guys that Laugh It Up are doing a great job. And I think in general, they're working hard to bring in some big names. But, the tough thing about it is you need a big room to bring in big names because they're expensive. And, like Brian Regan was just at the UPAC not long ago. The Civic Center in their day has done some pretty big acts. But as far as her, one of the things that I've noticed, and there's some pop-up shows that you'll see in the area with some open mic and new talent people. And I will never knock a new talent artist, a comedian, because I was there 16 years ago, and it's a hard craft that you really have to hone in on. But sometimes when you have like a radio station or, comedy competitions, for example, you may have a group of like 20 newcomers who maybe have 2 or 3 minutes, if that, of somewhat quality material. And usually it's not even that much. And then what'll happen is they'll go out and they'll do comedy shows at places like Elks Lodges or Knights of Columbus Halls or bars or restaurants or pubs. You mentioned Tomato Cafe, for example. These kids will sometimes approach a venue and say, hey, we want to give this a try. And, their budgets are, sometimes they work for nothing. And the difficult thing about that for someone like myself and a lot of the other comedians and producers in the area, where you can find that challenging, is if you have 100 people show up to a Poughkeepsie Elks Lodge and they see a show with 10 open micers and it's not up to quality standards as far as what the audience
eating shit the
they're
whole
eating
time.
shit. I mean, and like I said, I've been there, and I give them all the credit in the world. But what happens to a show like myself, I put on shows where I use, Aaron has seen this, seasoned veterans. I mean, Norris is in this 27 years now. John Ziegler probably close to 20 years now. 16 for myself. And I put on real high quality shows. My headliners cost a lot of money, and they cost a lot of money for a reason. They're working all over the country every single weekend. So if 100 people go to an Elks Lodge and they see these 10 kids get up there and eat shit, like you said, for a 90-minute or two, and they tend to go very long too. Those.
Oh boy, do they! I went to a show at I think it was the Loft in Poughkeepsie was trying their hand at it. I think they probably bailed, but I went to a friend of mine was doing his. He was just starting, and they had a guy who was there has been in it a couple years, and you could tell the difference between the guy who's done it for a couple years and the guys that are just starting out. My friend went up. He did okay. It wasn't that great. He was kind of like, he drank a little bit too much before the show. And I know that just from just doing this show, this podcast, is that I can't get tuned up right away. Like, I can't have a couple drinks or something before the show starts, or I'm fucked the rest of the show.
Right. And Ryan, you nailed it. I mean,
We constantly
2 weeks ago.
we break that rule when it comes to doing the show, but not before the show.
and again, I don't fault them in any way, because I started.
It's scary.
16 years ago. I actually got my comedy start at the Palisades Mall in Rockland County. It's called Levity Live now. There's a club there called Levity Live.
Yeah.
Big
That's
club,
that's
big
great
names.
club. What's it? Vinny Brand, right?
Vinny Brand Distress Factory.
Yeah.
Vinny Brand,
Oh, okay.
Vinny Brand,
So
is,
I'm
which
confusing 'em.
has a new room in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which I understand is doing really well. His New Jersey room does well. But I didn't work at the Levity Live. At the time, there was a comedy club called Rascals, and it was located on the 4th floor theater.
I've heard of.
Yep, they
Rascals,
have
yeah.
a few locations,
sure.
Cherry Hill, and I believe at the time somewhere else in New Jersey. And I signed up for a Wednesday night open mic, and everybody got 5 minutes, and I think there were 20 comics on the show. But it was dubbed as a new talent night, so the audience all knew that they're getting to see comics that are brand new at this. And the way they did it at Rascals, it was interesting. They had 15 guys or whatever, guys and gals that signed up, but they also had a seasoned headliner close the show with just like a 20-minute set.
Yeah.
So the audience still got some bang for their buck because they saw a pro's pro at the end. So that's kind of the way to do it. And I think, to answer your question with the comedy scene in the area, if you go to a true pro show and you see a show with seasoned veterans, you're going to have a great time. Whether that's at Laugh It Up, whether it's at one of my productions, there are some other producers in the area that put on great shows. Mill Creek Catering does pro shows in Hopewell Junction, the old Arbor Ridge. Great professional comics, and that's really what can help the scene get to where it needs to be. Like I said, if you go to one of those shows and you see 10 open micers, each doing 10 minutes, and it's terrible, you'll go home and say, I saw a show in Poughkeepsie and it sucked. And that's what, and it hurts my brand.
Yeah.
So that's
We do a open mic at the coffee shop I work at, Crafted Cup at 44 Raymond
Okay.
Avenue in Poughkeepsie, New York. Every Thursday night we do open mic. It's mostly musicians and everything. Once in a while we'll get stand-ups in there. But it's a younger crowd, and that area is Vassar area too. So everybody's a little bit more like I'm a little. I wouldn't say scared to laugh, but just like
they're very woke.
They're tight.
yeah, they're a little tight. So it's tough to do that. Just jump up on stage after a bunch of people have been belting out, and then start doing.
Comedy,
I give you 6 minutes on that stage,
and it's an eternity.
and well, when people are like, I'm gonna do comedy, I'm like, great, because I like. And half of me says, awesome. I would love to see a comedian jump up there. The other half of me is like, 6 minutes is a long fucking time, dude. I don't think people understand how long 5 minutes on that stage is when you're slinging jokes. let alone six.
BurgerFi was doing that like comedy open mic night.
It was doing very well
yeah.
for a second
Yeah.
there. They couldn't.
Like it was run by the comedy club at Vassar,
Okay.
and I think the bones of it graduated.
Yeah.
And it just
Gotcha.
never
Which
happened.
is what
And-
happens.
But I mean, they were doing comedy for other comedians, pretty much. But there was 40 people in there at certain points, and you're in a burger joint. You know,
No, that's
So,
that's a pretty
you know
good turnout.
that's good. You know, and 25 of them were probably performing. But you know, we would close. It would be on Thursdays, but they started at like 9.
Yeah, we'd
we
be
would
closing the
close-
place. We'd walk down,
Yeah.
like we'd be walking out, taking the garbage and stuff, and we see them already going and doing their
Yeah.
thing until 11 or 12, whatever they
Yeah.
did it. And I was pretty stoked. I was like, oh, cool. So
Never went, but you know,
fuck that, man. I worked all day.
yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
you haven't been to
But
one
that's-
of our shows either.
No,
gotta
I
get
just
in.
put it in my calendar.
Is
for
it
the one that you guys
that,
are coming
that
up.
leads me to
Yeah.
another question. Getting asses in the seats nowadays. We do this show. Even getting people to listen to this show while they're driving on their phone. It's simple. It's a simple thing. Just getting people to listen, getting people to show up for shows, getting people to show up for Creator Fest, the festival that we put on. Getting people to come out to your event.
It's tough.
It's tough. I know what your answer is going to be. It's going to be tough. It's also so frustrating.
Yeah.
And what can you do? Like,
Well, that's something. I mean, just from having the brewery for the last year or so, I've seen it. Like now with the comedy shows, I've noticed the last 2 weeks is when all the tickets will go really, really quick. Up until that point, they're trickling here and there. But we've tried music. We've tried all sorts of different events. We talked about this last time.
you
It
did
was like,
storytelling,
oh, we had everything.
coloring books,
And we've had you name it. We've had it at the
game
brewery.
nights. Yeah,
And it's to me now. I think music is so saturated in this area.
very.
That,
Kingston's cornered the market
Yeah.
on music.
but like you
let
go
them
into the
have
Village of Wappingers. Even in the Village of Wappingers, there's 4 restaurants that all have live music Friday and Saturday. So now here I come in, like, oh, I'm going to do live music on Saturday. That'll draw a crowd. No, doesn't, because there's so many options. People just, we'll go here and stop. That's why comedy was something I always wanted to try and do and bring it into it. And
Different. Yeah.
you know, there's no
Yeah,
comedy.
nobody
in
does
Wappingers.
comedy night.
So
No, it's. I mean, and like I said, I've produced a lot in the area over the last decade or so, and one of the great things is if you, and you know, Aaron's place here at Cousins is a great example. You know, we had a hiccup with an inebriated audience member that very rarely happens. Like I said, 4 or 5 times in 16 years, but the quality of the show, if you really to get asses in the seats, we had a great turnout for the second show. We oversold the second show. The first show we had about 55, and the second show we had 92. And we put such a good first show on that a lot of the people were, Aaron had said, both repeats and new, because word got around.
Sure.
So I think the answer to your question is if you put on a really good quality show, but it's very,
That's our
very
problem.
hard. You know,
Yeah.
putting ass
And the rain.
and social media helps. I mean, we just tried something new. Aaron and I discussed this the other day. We did our first Facebook ad, a paid ad for the show coming up on the 29th, and
Yeah.
it reaches I think 4,000 people.
I saw it pop
Yep.
up.
Yeah.
Oh, this-
And then I saw it pop up, and then a couple days later he texted me. He's like, "Hey, Aaron's bringing Gene on the show," and I was just like, "I just saw a fucking ad for that."
Yeah, so we'll see how that works. I mean, I you know, and anything it can't hurt, but I think that to get people, it's extremely challenging. You know, years ago, it's different today. If you remember when Bananas was in its heyday, if you turned over to where you would read the movies to see what movie was playing at the
Yeah.
Duchess Mall back then, in between the movie theater listings would be a 3x5 ad, and Bananas would have all the comedians that they were having for like the
remember
next
that, yeah.
3 or 4
Yep.
weeks.
Yeah.
Remember little headshots
Yep.
and people, oh, I want to go see Melvin George or Joey Cola's going to be there or Bobby Collins in November. So, but people aren't picking up the paper today. You know, I
Have
don't-
you read the paper?
I
It's
haven't.
6 fucking pages now,
Exactly.
and two of them,
$60.
two of them are obituaries. 2 of those pages.
I mean,
They don't have headlines anymore. The front page is 3 stories all side by side
Yep, and
because
everybody-
nobody's fucking reading it.
no.
it's our ability to reach everybody came with a price.
Oh, yeah.
The
Everyone has the
oversaturation.
ability. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Newspapers are on their way out, and then you get you can go online and look at Poughkeepsie Journal, but you got to pay to look at
Yeah.
it online,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like
That's a
fuck, who
dick
the hell's gonna
tease
do
all
that?
the time too.
Oh yeah, man.
5 murdered in Wappingers Creek. You click on it, 99 cents. It's all right.
Like, fuck you. I'm going to the Daily Freeman. They'll have something.
But I think, like I said, I really believe that if you put on a good quality show,
No,
and
that's
you
what
get,
it is.
people are looking. You know, Ryan, Adam, people are looking for stuff to do in the Hudson Valley. We have more people here than ever before. I mean, if you've ever walked down Main Street in Beacon on a Saturday night now, it's 3/4 of New York
It's
City.
insanity.
If you fucking put a comedy club in down there, you would have acts from the city that are regulars at all the big places coming up on Wednesday, Thursday nights to work out their sets. You'd have
and it's
you'd-
right on
yeah.
the train. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have A-list comedians there. Poughkeepsie, it's only 15 more minutes. So
Yeah.
we can make that happen too.
Absolutely.
It's just I feel like we're very spread out here. Beacon is like you get off the
It's right
train.
there, yeah.
If you're super lazy, you could take an Uber the mile walk,
Mhm.
or you just walk up the fucking hill and you're there.
I find that Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
It's definitely. I'm finding that Poughkeepsie is definitely starting to pick up. Everybody's starting to jump on the bandwagon. Everybody is starting to jump on the bandwagon. Not just like the people who want to pour money into this. The people that are already here. I went to First Friday a couple weeks ago at Mansion Square Park, and when I was like, I've lived here all my life, 30 plus years, and it's just when they were like, "Oh, the First Friday is gonna be at Mansion Square Park," I went, I don't want to go over there. But I went anyway, and it was fucking awesome. It was so much fun. The band's playing.
Nice.
They're doing like then the next First Friday there's a cornhole competition. You
Next
sign
First
up and
Friday's
then
brewery First Friday.
Oh, is it?
It's
really?
called Red, White, and Brew.
yeah,
It's
that's what
sweet.
it is. It's all it's
all-
local beers
yeah.
and like yard games.
I
Yeah.
gotta
It's
have
fucking cool.
I kind of know the guy who runs that too. Like through he's friends with Monica, Joe's
Okay.
fiance. You know, Joe's getting married like before me now.
Christ, I keep forgetting about it. I took off though.
Now,
It's fine.
speaking of Poughkeepsie, what's the latest? Like, I keep hearing about the waterfront development that's supposed to be going on down along the water. Is that still a big thing, or is it?
Yeah, I
It's-
think it's so. There's a lot of condos, and then not much else.
So-
but the parks are nice now.
The condos are going
Yeah.
up. From what I heard, the ones that are being put in are like one bedroom's like $1,300 for a river view.
to live by the train tracks.
Yeah.
What is wrong with people? I would pay $1,300 a month to live by the train tracks
It's-
so I can see the river.
No. It's not about that. It's about the commuters. That's what they're looking for.
I get that.
And they're also pumping up the artist lofts. There's new apartments and
Yeah.
housing for specifically targeting local artists, so they get discounted rates. Just move to Poughkeepsie, live there, and make art in Poughkeepsie, which is on display there as well. So they just had a gallery opening type thing this weekend. So
Okay.
they're
I think Lower Main is going to be really Lower Main in 5 years is going to be what Beacon is now.
I was just going to say, could
Yeah,
it have
like
that potential?
right, like that. Like probably 250 to 300 and something on Main Street. Brasserie 292 would be like the middle of that.
I'm not even. Like,
Yeah.
It's that's the thing. I think that Arlington is starting to get like Arlington could be something,
Arlington will be something, but it's going to be a satellite.
and then
part.
there's
It's the train station. If you
there's-
build up 10 blocks out from that train station, you get that area really nice, walkable, and have a gallery business on every block. I think it'll get there.
Well,
and
there's a
I mean,
formula-
and Mahoney's, like we were saying, they do the comedy thing. But if you had, if somebody was willing to put the money into, I'm going to build a bar and it's going to be a comedy club. And we're going to do comedy 7 nights a week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that would take a while, but that would become the new Bananas because comics in New York would go, oh, I just go on the train for an hour and a half. I don't even have to take a cab.
And it's
Yeah.
interesting, Adam, because one of the brick and mortar comedy club is some people would say is a thing of the past. But I don't necessarily agree with that. I think in the right location, a few years ago, maybe about 6 or 7, a guy tried a comedy club in Middletown called the Manhattan Comedy Club, and it was located in the
I
Plaza
heard of that.
Texas Roadhouse
Yes,
in Middletown.
yes.
Astronomical rent, which you're paying 30 days a month, and you're opened Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
The guy put tons of money into the club. His name was Rich Francesi, very funny comic himself.
I feel like
Big Italian guy, and he just poured his heart and soul into this club. And the rent is just, and it was in Middletown, which is not quite as poppin'.
Yeah.
But the fact that it can succeed,
It's like Newburgh, but farther from the river.
well, that's what I was just gonna
It's
say.
Newburgh out in the middle of nowhere, so
Yeah.
nothing good.
it's like Newburgh, but it's near Otisville.
It's near Otis, Wallkill, but it succeeds in Newburgh. If you would have told, so Newburgh, the waterfront, actually has a pretty good comedy scene, believe it or not. Their Side Splitting Productions puts on a Thursday night comedy show at the River Grill on the Newburgh waterfront. And Pamela's on the Hudson, which is just a couple blocks down, does comedy shows on Saturdays. Both good friends of mine that book both rooms, and they do very, very well. They don't necessarily need it in the summer because the summer, the waterfront, you can't even park, So I would like to see something like, if that ever happens in Poughkeepsie along the waterfront, I think it'd be a great thing for everybody.
Yes, and at the coffee shop, we were the open mic thing. It took us. I've been doing it for I think 3 years at this point. I've been doing it for 3 years. Just this year is the only time I've been consistently, for the past, I'll say 6 months, consistently full sign-up sheet. I have to take it away from people. Like
Yeah.
I had people
Used
break.
to be. Even when I left there, it was still. You'd have nights where there were only 6 or 7.
6, 7 people go
Yeah.
up, bunch of people watching, no big deal. I give a little extra time or whatever. I had to stop giving extra time, and then now I have to tell people no.
Yeah.
And I actually got into a minor little argument with a guy, one of our regulars. He's there pretty much every week. He's a good dude. He's a good performer, but he's breaking my balls about not having the sign-up sheet out before 6:30. And he's just like, we're here. Dennis was there. Dinas Fab.
Dinas
friend,
Fabricante.
and a couple other people that always are there were way ahead. They were there at 6 o'clock, and he's breaking my balls. The listen, hey, we're here, we're regulars, and this and that. I'm like, all right, Frank, what fucking time do you want me to put it out? And I'm like, when you get here, I'll put it out when you get here, okay? And he's just like, no, I don't mean that. I'm like, 6:15, 6:20, 6:25, and he's just like, all right. And then he just gave up on me. I'm like, your argument is just stupid.
Yeah. And the thing was, and I will nod to Tanner if he's listening. Tanner said, so the person that you were talking about, you already fucking named him, but
What'd I say?
You said Frank.
Frank knows. Fuck,
yeah.
fuck
So
I love Frank.
he
but
used to
fuck him.
call ahead and say, "I'm going to be late. Can you sign me up?" And I would always say to him, I can definitely do that just because you're a regular, but just so you know, if we get a full list before you get here, you're going to be pushed to the end and maybe bumped.
But what
and Tanner said, he was like, you shouldn't do that. And I was like, Tanner, we're going to get 8 signups tonight. If we get to the point where we have a full list, I'm going to tell him we can't do that
and that's
anymore.
exactly what
And
happened.
that's exactly what happened. And he was a cunt about it. But the thing is, you need to allow people the opportunity to fail.
Mm-hmm.
You need to give them the opportunity to be a cunt. And now you can go, well, yep, Tanner, you were right. He was a cunt about it. Now we're not doing that anymore.
I actually held up my phone. It said in big letters 629, and I had the sheet, and I stood in front of him, and I watched it click over to 30, and then I put the sheet down with the pen just to fuck with him.
Yeah,
Like
it was.
it wasn't like nasty. We were
But
just friendly.
It's
friendly
one of those
fucking
things where
around.
it's just like you're not gonna, if you're there at 6:30, you're not gonna not get a spot.
Yeah.
There wasn't fucking 25 people there waiting, were there? I mean,
there were 10.
but if it gets
like,
to that
immediately.
point, I would say, Frank, at 6:30, I'm going to put the sign up sheet out there. You can stand there and wait. You'll be first in line to sign up, and then you get to go first.
But what I'm getting at too is building that up. It took 3 years.
Took 3
so
years.
You're gonna have to eat it for a while before you get.
How many nights where we were just like, do we even want to do this?
Yeah.
There's like 2 people here. Like,
Uh-huh.
are we going to do it for nobody?
I canceled a couple nights before,
Yeah.
and now it's just like,
Like,
oh,
we always used to work it together, so we kind of had this like rule of thumb, like if there's only 2 performers here and there's no one in the place, those 2 people aren't going to buy anything. So they're playing to each other, so it's kind of like, if they're regulars, they're in a lot, we'll let them play, and then we're out.
But word got
Yeah.
out. There was a lot of quality musicians playing. Word got out, and now it's like
3 years later, it's doing well.
it's crazy. It's a fucking madhouse. And we have that one guy that shows up every week that sucks the absolute life out of the entire place. He still can't kill it.
yeah, still can't kill them.
So that's a good sign.
I was there for
I
one
wish
night,
he would just stop and not come back.
Right.
I wish he's a fucking weird guy.
I've told
But-
you
I
how
wonder
you
if
can
it's the
shut
guy
it.
that was
I've
there the
told
night I
you
was
how
there.
you can shut it down, and no one wants to do it. So I'm not going to get into who this guy
Don't
is,
even-
but the thing is, like, he just kind of over like YouTube videos.
I figured
Like
it out.
other,
I know who you're
yeah.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine
Yeah.
now. I just lower his mic.
Okay.
I put his mic down. He don't notice, and everybody, like, people have come up to me and like leaned in like very quietly and was like, is his mic like turned like way down? I mean, we can hear him, but is it like way down? And I'm like,
purpose.
yes,
That's
his mic is turned down.
So yes, he sucks the air out of the room. Do you still put him on last?
No, I
No?
put him on whenever he signs
Yeah.
up. Like now, it's like a game. Everybody gets there to sign up before him.
Okay. Well, if everybody knows and it's working, but for a while there, he would have to put him on last because the second he stepped foot on stage, everybody would leave.
So,
So at that
have
point,
you worked? Have you
yeah,
worked?
but I
Mo-
just-
like emceed open mics before?
yeah,
Or?
it's funny that you mentioned. So yeah, and I know exactly from your point being music. I'm assuming this musician that sings. So
he's not a
horribly.
musician.
Not a musician, or
and
wanna
that
be
is
mu-
why. So I'll let you get to your point, but very quickly, I said to him, I was like, him playing YouTube videos over a speaker in a place that's charging money for shit is illegal.
Yeah, oh,
It's it's copyright infringement.
copyright laws. Yeah.
So you can just say, "Hey, Papa, like you could definitely welcome back. You could definitely do whatever you want, but you can't play copyrighted
Gotta get your own
material
stuff,
over
yeah.
over the loudspeaker." He would never come back.
Mm.
He might still come, but he wouldn't. Or his performance would get way weirder and possibly way more entertaining. Because it would be him doing it a cappella, which he used to do before he used to bring in his laptop. He had headphones in.
His very
and
first
he was just
performance.
singing along.
His very first performance was just headphones, and he was singing into the mic. No one could hear the music. And the next time he came in, I'm like, you cannot do that again because it was even worse. But back to the open
Yeah.
mics.
Well, so now it's a similar dynamic in comedy. I work a lot of the comedy clubs throughout the North and Southeast, and there's something called a guest spot. And in comedy, what a guest spot is, for those that may not be aware, you usually have a pro show is three comedians. You have the MC, the middle act, and the headliner. when a club is faced with attendance challenges, which happens sometimes with, without the big names, what they'll often do is they'll give a guest spot to a local open mic kid. And it's usually like 4 to 8 minutes. And they usually go on right after the MC and right before the feature act. And they're usually dreadful, just like this guy and horrible. And what they try to do, what a lot of new open micers that are just starting out, they go for the shock. And I'll give you an example. And it's a very. I was in Brookfield, Connecticut, about a year after the Sandy Hook shooting.
Oh.
And it was just a real tough area to perform in. It was right outside of Sandy Hook, and I was on a pro show with 3 comedians, and there was a guest spotter, and he was a 24 or 25-year-old kid from Danbury, and we had a sold-out show. I would say 150, 160 people. And the producer will often leave instructions for whoever is emceeing, how much time you're doing, who's doing what, the guest spotter's doing this, and topics that are obviously off limit. And this 24-year-old kid comes
they do that?
Yes, there will be.
Maybe in that situation they would. But
Well,
yeah.
that was a unique situation. But so this 24-year-old kid comes up to me. He goes, my name is so-and-so, and I'm going to be doing the guest spot tonight. And he goes, are you going to MC? I said, I am. I'm hosting tonight. And he goes, I have some great jokes that I wrote about mass shootings. And I looked at the kid, and I said, listen. I said, kid, and I won't use his name. I'll say, there are 150 people here 4 miles from the worst tragedy. I mean, the age of the victims was
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I said, if you even think about doing a joke about that in this anywhere, anytime, in my opinion. I mean, some people ask me, is anything off limits? And I believe, and I know I'm never a censorship guy, but I do think there are certain topics that are off limits.
It's not that it's off limits. It's that
Just read the room, bro.
yeah,
Right,
it's
read
just
the room. Yep.
it's read the room.
Yep.
It's not like you can't say that. You can't say that 4 miles from Sandy Hook.
Worst tragedy.
Right
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
it happened.
Yeah.
There's
It's a little rough.
possibility
Oh.
that a relative,
There were.
many relatives were in there.
There were 3 bereaved, a husband and wife bereaved, and I believe another bereaved father.
Just trying to go to a comedy show, have a
enjoy
laugh, and forget the
Yep.
bullshit that they've just gone through.
and then he
And
says
you're
to
gonna
me,
start slinging fucking jokes.
jokes about guns, and I said, he goes, well, that's kind of all I have.
Whoa!
And I said, I looked at him and I
no.
said, well, you need to go back in the green room, which was the pizza kitchen, and say, figure something else out because, I mean, it's just so what they do a lot of times is they'll go for the shock. And in open mics or on a pro show, when they throw up a guest spotter like that, it can, you just said, suck the air. This guy.
And especially he's going before the people that they fucking paid to see.
Correct.
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, he went up there and he did not do any gun joke because I told him. I said, I'll also tell the producer, and you'll never work in the tri-state area again.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
not that he was getting paid anyway, but I said, and he ended up he bombed. He was trying to work with the crowd and do some audience jokes and improv. But at the end of the day, I think that they can definitely say that's why, and you can be a little picky and choosy as far as what you do. I mean, I get asked like you just mentioned the music thing. I'm at the level of my career now where thankfully I can turn stuff down. And I know when something's a shit show. I've done every type of it. When I first started, one of my worst gigs ever, I was 15 years ago, I got asked to do the 20-year reunion for Royce C. Ketchum High School.
Hey, that's our alma mater.
At the Poughkeepsie Grand. So this was 15 years ago. And the money was, for me, just starting out, I'm like, oh my God, it pays that much, And the guy's like, we just need you to do about 30 minutes. And I said, okay, no problem. I took the gig. Well, I'm wet behind the ears. I'm new. I didn't realize. There's 250 people that haven't seen each other in 20 years.
Yeah.
They don't want
They
no
don't
fucking
want to
listen.
see some fat kid
Yeah.
telling show,
They don't give a fuck about you.
One table paid attention,
Ugh.
and the rest were all talking. So now I know, there's things that I can luckily say no, and no matter, and sometimes even the money can be very good. I'm doing a swingers cruise in Long Island.
That'll be
Nice.
fun.
You were mentioning Fire Island. It's out of Freeport. It's July 12th with another comic, very funny comedian, does a lot of warm-up for the Dr. Oz show, and Richie Byrne. And it's funny, I'm doing this gig, and it's on a cruise ship, and it's a swingers cruise ship. And I didn't want to do it. It's a Friday night, July 12th, in Long Island. You have to be there at 7 o'clock. So you got to leave Tuesday. I mean, if you're going to make it to the island, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's brutal.
but
At least you're
in-
going there, not
Freeport isn't too bad. It's actually, I
yeah.
heard it's like 25, 30 minutes from Queens. I've done gigs as far out as the Hamptons. It's terrible. But, you know,
That
in this-
fucking drive.
Oh, on
that
a
drive
Friday.
is almost as bad as fucking driving to Florida.
or Jersey Shore on it.
You're we're still in New York and it's been 7 hours. 7 hours.
Yep.
And then you just stop for a slice of pizza and you feel like you're in fucking Iraq. You're like, you call this pizza here. This is pizza? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Disgusting, right?
swingers cruise.
Yeah. Well,
swingers
yeah,
cruise.
and I said to the guy, you know, he gave us the budget, and it was just, you couldn't turn it down. I mean, the money was so good, and it was a Friday night where we were both open, and I said, you know what, the hell with it, I'll do it. But those are things that, you know, you have to really, so with comedy, like the great thing about Cousins, it's a comedy show. People are coming out to drink, to have a good time, to have some good food, and see a show.
The atmosphere is there, though.
Absolutely,
there
it's
as
there.
well. You
It's-
guys get like it's picnic tables
Yeah,
and like
well,
it's the you
we
got the
set it up
tanks
as
and
a club
everything.
style
Right.
seating.
We,
You know,
we do set it up with it.
But it still has that
Has that
air. You're not
atmosphere.
like
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and you know
it's-
people are there to see you. They're not on a fucking cruise.
correct. Yeah.
They're not on.
Yeah, and
it's-
like I've been on one cruise. It's the only cruise I'm ever going to go on ever in my life. And the comedian was funny. I wish I could remember his name, but his material was tailored towards
absolutely.
a late 50s to I don't know, low 90s fucking cruise.
The Ben Gay
It was
crew.
so it was so clean, and it was definitely tailored to, you know, our greatest generation.
I like how he slipped that in. Those that storm the beach.
Yeah,
sit for
and
the show.
you had to like you walk through the casino and you can still smoke in the casino on the fucking cruise, and you go down there. And
Were you
this
at the
guy's-
late? You were at the early show because there's usually a late show that sometimes
Yeah.
it's a little more off limits. But
I mean, it was the same comedian, so I don't know if he changed his set. Nah, I don't remember, but yeah, it was definitely like he had a set for cruises, and I think that was pretty much what he did, which is fine. I mean, if you're making a living
yeah.
talking for clapping,
The cruise ships pay. They do pay very well.
Yeah.
And you know, people think it's a vacation. It's really not. You
Yeah.
don't work on the same ship the whole week. You're
Yeah,
you
you're
get
moving
off,
around.
You get off at every port. And Jeff tells a great
yeah,
joke.
and you
He'll-
live in like the 6th class fucking.
You're down by where the
bowels of
Chinese guy's
goddamn
putting
ship.
the coal in the. Yeah, you know, that's Jeff Norris's joke, by the way. Yeah, you know, he tells it great too. He's like, "Oh, you fucked," you know. But, yeah, and I mean, so with a venue like Cousins, what makes it great is the fact that they're there to see a show.
Mm-hmm.
These venues where, you know, I just got a call for a lady was asking if I was available to do a 50th wedding anniversary. Very close, Hopewell Junction. And the money, again, was pretty decent. And she said they want one comedian who's going to go up after a Sinatra impersonator, an Elvis impersonator, and some other type of musical entertainment. And they wanted the comedian to do 45 minutes at the end.
at the end.
Holy
After
shit.
a mariachi band, an Elvis impersonator, and a Frank Sinatra. And I said to her, I said, you know, this is really not, I don't do this. You know, it's not, you can't make people laugh. It doesn't matter how good you are after, you know, I mean, those
Because
are
all
just-
your only options are to make fun of all of those things.
that went on for right. Yeah.
Like, that's all you
Blue
got.
suede shoes. Yeah, no, but so sometimes you have to, you know, that's why I like to stick to venues,
Yeah.
clubs.
And paid shows. I've
Absolutely.
because it's not even about the money. From what I've heard, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Not even about the money. It's that the people are there to see a comedy show.
Yes.
When you work at a bar and they're just gonna, yeah, we're gonna pay like $200 and it's gonna be, you know,
Free shows are the
Free
worst
shows,
They're the worst
yeah.
shows in the world.
because
Adam.
people are just like, I want to drink my fucking Bud Light and not listen to you, asshole.
And when you
Yeah.
don't pay a cover charge, you don't respect the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the most
Yes.
known, you know, words of wisdom in comedy. Charge something. There are venues that say we don't do a cover, and I say, well, we're not going to do your room. I mean, if you have 100 people in there that paid nothing, they're going to drink and they're going to talk and they're not going to respect the show.
Well, I mean that's I've gone to places. Mahoney's is one of them, where I'd walk in.
Before it was Laugh It Up, right?
Oh,
no, this is Mahoney's as a bar on a Saturday night
before the club was.
And I'd go to walk in, and they'd be like, it's $25. I'd be like, what? $25 to go and pay for alcohol? And they're like, well, it's for the band.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not fucking here to see the band. It's 1 a.m. I'm here to get drunk.
Right.
That at that point, it's like the bar is like Mahoney's has a built-in fucking clientele of pieces of shit. They're gonna come and they should be footing that bill.
Right.
A band is different. A band is very different, especially when you're having live music on a Saturday night at a place like Mahoney's. Like that, it's not the same. And it's just okay. So you're gonna charge me $25 and then $15 for a mandatory coat check?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Mandatory.
That's very, very different.
Mandatory coach.
Yeah, very, very different. Oh, it's for safety. Whose safety?
Right. Yeah. For the safety.
You already frisked me? Do you need to take my coat? Fuck you.
It also weeds out.
I've been kicked out of Mahoney's a bunch of times. It's to weed out black people.
Oh, Jesus
No,
Christ! I wasn't
no.
even going there. I'm just talking about clubs. I'm just talking about clubs charging.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm talking about
But
weeding out people
but
who.
I know a bunch of security guards at Mahoney's who were just like, oh yeah, it's to weed out black people.
I'll be done.
Yeah, it's no jackets, no hats of any kind, and like they have just a whole bunch of arbitrary rules that are 100% to keep ethnic minorities out of the place.
Wow.
That's a.
Yeah.
Okay.
Learned something
No, I'm
new
just.
tonight.
It's not my fucking rule. It's
It's there.
it's a bunch of bodyguards that I've security guys that
Yeah.
worked in Mickey's.
Black
my
security
sister,
guards.
my
Yeah.
sister's ex, my sister's ex fiance was a bouncer at Mahoney's, and the policy on no hats and no jackets is 100% to keep black people out.
I'll be darned.
Well, what I was getting at.
I'm just not allowed in Mahoney's,
Was
so that's all.
Well, Aaron doesn't allow suits, ties.
Yeah, no suits,
No
ties.
suits,
Listen,
no ties. If you're
Combat
clean shaven,
boots.
it's a $7 cover.
No yellow-
Orthodox Jewish headgear.
No yellow T-shirts with pineapples on them. Well, it's just like I think having dedicated comedy clubs also grooms kind of the area as to like seeing comedy shows. Also, I listen to all these podcasts: Joe Rogan, Your Mom's House. Kill Tony is one of my favorites, and they're actually going to be around very soon. I'm not going to go into why, but it also shows you like the business side, how the comics think, and how to act as a audience member too. Because you see so often, it's just like if you're a fan of comedy and you're coming to see this comedy show, I thought you knew. I thought it was an understanding that you don't
someone
talk
might
shit.
say the R word and
Well-
it might be funny.
Well, there's that, but also the heckling part of it too. It amazes me that we're this. You still have to groom, and you have to groom the scene, the
Yeah.
comedy
We had
scene,
people
to
at
make
that
sure that the
show-
audience was like.
The one where the guy took a shot at me, we actually had people at that show the next day that would text me and say, "Was that part of the show? Was that did you guys pay him to do that?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
no, that was just another funny thing that happened."
and the issue there, around what happens a lot of times around with that is the issue is twofold. A lot of times, the seasoned comedy show fan is the best fan in the world.
Mhm.
It's usually the guests that they bring.
Yeah.
Have never been
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, that I find, and also when the
But why
alcohol-
aren't they like grabbing them by the, doing that
So, yeah.
goon arm thing that your parents did to you when you were like 5 and fucking off and going, what the fuck?
I went to a
Shut the
comedy
fuck
show
up."
in Vegas. Just going back a few years, me and Jackie, when my wife went, and we went. We love comedy, so we went, and waiting in line. This is at the Flamingo. Waiting in line to get into the comedy club, they came through every single person and said, "Are you offended by personal jokes? Are you going to be offended if he calls you fat? Are you going to be offended if this and this?"
What kind of
And
world
he
are we
was
in?
all he was he was a comedian that would work the crowd.
Crowd work.
And
yeah.
that was all he did. And he tore people apart. But in that audience, not one person got up and left.
I don't.
And
I
it
don't.
was
Because
awesome.
he did his research.
Yeah, he did his research.
He read
but,
the room.
Yeah.
but it was
Interview.
freaking hilarious.
But I like.
I couldn't imagine being that guy. Just like, sir, would you mind if I called you fat?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I guess I'd be all right with it. And then he, oh, well, I'm the comedian. I'm probably going to call you fat in a little while.
I'm gonna pick on you in a little bit. Don't worry.
I don't mind if somebody's offended by a joke, like retard.
But that's
for
the
instance,
thing.
hold
If-
on.
like yeah.
Retard, for instance, when somebody starts throwing that around, it's just like, I've a family member has Down syndrome, so it's just like, I'm not huge on those jokes. So I sit there, I listen. Some of them are pretty funny, but I just like, all right, I'm not this isn't like, but I'm not like freaking out, flipping out. I know that this stuff is gonna fly because some people have different life experiences than others. So I'm not mad that somebody's offended by a joke. I am mad when you're the one person who's offended, pumping your fist and screaming and bitching and moaning. That's the only problem. I was just like, just chill. Just sit back. Maybe have a conversation after, like a civilized conversation after.
Well, because I think any
have to, like,
reasonable
I don't know.
person would just, like, if somebody after show pulled you aside and was just like, hey, I didn't want to, like, bring it up in the show and mess you up, but this, and this, and then just you could see their point or you could disagree with them. You give them the opportunity to not do it in front of a group of 50 fucking people.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it happens. And to be honest with you, I've seen, like you just used the word retard, and I absolutely understand. And I think that there's enough funny out there where sometimes you just don't have to go there.
Yeah.
And not sometimes. I don't think you ever have to go there. So there's enough, there's other stuff that you can talk about, and you can alienate. And what happens, it goes one of two ways. You have that disruptive audience member that the rest of the audience gangs up on, and they can shut them up very quickly. Or if the comedian crosses the line, as some would say, then, and especially if he or she is not having a good set, it can turn the other way very quickly.
Again, I'm not a comedian. I do a podcast, which is the laziest form of comedian. It's like a radio. It's like a radio show. It's like a radio show. You got to be kind of funny, but people are like, well, I've listened to 100 hours of this fucking guy already, so I'm going to keep going. But I think the ultimate example of that riding the line is Tom Segura's last special, where he's changing subjects. He's done with a bit, and he just goes, you can't say retarded anymore. And people were tweeting at him saying, you can't say that word. And he's like, that's what I said. I said you can't say that anymore.
That's exactly
That's
what I
the
said.
joke.
Yeah.
And you're in that moment, in just the way that he phrased it, just going, can't say retarded anymore.
Yeah, just popped it out.
It was almost like he was lamenting the fact that an era was over, but also saying,
an era.
yeah, but also saying it's wrong to say it, except for sometimes.
Except for once in a while.
So, like that's the point when he's not talking about a person who has a mental disability. He's just saying like, it's no longer funny. Used to be funny, and it's kind of funny to say it to make people uncomfortable. He's not saying it to make fun of someone. He's saying it to make people uncomfortable, and that's the funny part.
Right.
Well, there's a
And that's when I
comedian,
think
too,
that you can get into the like Louis C.K. with the stop being a faggot and get back to sucking that guy's dick.
Yeah.
That like
People from Phoenix are Phoenicians.
yeah, quit being a faggot and get back to sucking that guy's dick. Like those are all very, very offensive things, but you're saying them in a way where you're not making fun of a real person. You're making fun of a fictional person that you've made up within the bit. So, but if you just went on a diatribe calling someone retarded, that's not going to be
what's
funny.
his name? Kramer, for instance.
Oh yeah,
Richards, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
unfortunate.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate.
absolutely. But you know,
I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it's the funniest he's been in years.
Hashtag
Since the
racist
show.
Ryan Bosch.
since he put hot butter on his face for the shave. Well, the thing too so when an audience somebody who says, you know, dealing with the hecklers, the important thing, I believe it's a 2-strike. So what I mean by that is the first thing the club owner or the security or whoever's managing the club or venue should do if somebody's really talking out loud and just being disruptive is go over and give them one warning.
Yeah.
You know, for the respect of the audience and the comedians, we do need you to keep it down. And if they don't and they continue, the second time you go over, I believe you got to get them out. Because if you continue to go to the table, you're distracting the whole entire room.
Yes,
So I believe
yes.
the second time you have to get them out. You know, you want to give them their money back or whatever. That's up. Most venues will, believe it or not, just to shut them up. You know, but just get them out because we just had an episode, you know, at a venue that I worked not long ago, where we had a group of 8 that were inebriated in the front row, and the headliner actually cut his act short because they wouldn't shut up, and the owner did not want to throw the table of 8 out. We had 140 people at the show. The first guy got up, did his act, did well. I got up, did my set. I did well, but they started getting chatty right at the end of me. By the time the headliner got up, they were 3 sheets. There was no shutting them up. He asked them 3 times to quiet down. And he ended up doing 20 minutes and saying, I don't have to deal with this shit anymore. And he put his coat on and he left. And he got paid and he left. And we asked the owner, why didn't you do something and throw them out? And her answer was they had an $1,100 tab. And if we threw, so they must have got their, you know, drinking
Holy
like,
shit.
She said, if we threw them out, not only were we not going to get paid for the tab, but the waitress would have got stiffed on the gratuity.
Yeah.
But at that point, I mean, I'm like, wow, they were eating and drinking. You know, it was a pretty high-end restaurant, so the food was expensive. But you ruined it for 138 other people.
Yeah. And how much were their tabs?
Exactly.
You know, I like
Collectively, yeah.
I mean, hindsight's 50-50. I wasn't in that situation. I don't own a comedy club or a restaurant, but I would have went over and I would have said, "Who's in charge here? Whose credit card is this going on?"
Whose brain
And
is
if they
slightly
refuse to
functioning.
pay, I'd have called the police.
Right.
But
That's what I would have done.
But then
And-
the show
and-
starts getting fucked up.
But that's the thing. I would have just said like, so who's paying the tab tonight? And when someone, we're gonna split it. Okay, first person that raised your hand, come with me.
Yeah.
And then we would have had a conversation outside the fucking room. And again, I wasn't there. This is just me going, this is a perfect way you would handle it.
Yeah.
But I would
But that-
say so we're gonna assume that you're not gonna give a 20% gratuity. I'm gonna tip out your waitress. But you're no longer welcome here,
Right.
and you need to pay your tab.
Simple things I've heard, just even that little conversation to move them out back is very,
Very hard to do.
very hard to do. A and B,
Especially in the
it,
front row, yeah.
It does distract everybody. Concerts too. Somebody gets into a fight, the entire crowd looks at the fight instead of the band they came to see. It's just that's the way it goes. I've heard that dropping the check is a big thing in comedy clubs.
Oh,
When it happened when we saw Jim Norton at Bananas.
Yeah, we had fucking $400 of Coronas.
Oh, we had just had everybody was
buckets?
drinking, right? And then his set, he's in the middle of a set, and all of a sudden the check comes by, and I see it go down, and I ignore it, but I start looking at. I'm not watching his show. I start looking at all the other tables who aren't watching his show because I knew that was going to happen. Because I had heard about it already. Just tiny things like that just fuck everything up.
This one that we had was right in the front row.
these
That-
two
that
were
guy
in the
that I
front.
had to get out.
And it always is. It
But
seems.
everybody was cheering when I pulled him out.
Absolutely,
Of there, so
you got the
every-
biggest applause.
Yeah,
Aaron got the biggest applause of the
Oh,
night.
I was feeling great.
But yeah, and, so the checks are and let me tell you, in all the years doing it, the checks when they start dropping them, it's like, oh, do they have to do this now? And I get it; they've already been there. So from a server standpoint, they've already been there 4 or 5 hours prepping.
Yeah.
So they want everybody paid and out. What happens a lot of times also is if you do a restaurant or a catering hall, and I do my best to sit down with the venue owners and iron out the night. The worst thing was the headliner is on stage wrapping up my set, and they come out with trays of dessert, cake, cookie, and they come out 7-8 servers deep with cake and cookie, and they're putting down dessert. You just as a comic and a producer, I now know. You learn your lesson over the years. I sit down with the venue owner and say, hey, listen, the dinner's going to be 6 to 8. Dessert 8 to 8:30. We're going to start the show at 8:45. I just want everything done because I got to give my guys and gals the best chance to succeed, and then that's how you have to do it.
Yeah, there's other. Yeah, it's pretty shocking. It's pretty amazing to watch, but I think we're about to turn into a pumpkin. And let's try and keep it under 2 hours. So.
Wow, are we getting close?
We're getting
Wow.
close.
We are. Time
up
flies when you're
pushing
talking
it,
about
yeah.
comedy.
Yep.
Oh, it's fun.
So man. Gene, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on. Aaron, thank you for bringing Gene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, you're always welcome here, and Gene as
Love
well.
to come back.
I'm glad you're trying to save the comedy scene in Poughkeepsie. I think it's really worth it. I really do.
We're working hard, and Cousins is a big part of it.
Yeah. And if you want to check it out, June 29th, it's a Saturday at 9 p.m. Doors are at 8:30. Crazy Gene's Night of Comedy at Cousins Aleworks in Wappingers Falls. Gene Trifilo, our guest, is going to be emceeing it. Also, he's going to have John Ziegler and Jeff Norris doing that show. Tickets are $15, 21 and over. And it's a cool venue, great beer,
Thank you.
as we talked about it earlier.
Allegedly for you.
Allegedly. If you want more information, GeneTrifilo.com, Gene. Trifilo is all I's and an O. It's easy to spell. It's spelled phonetically.
Go
you
to
won
Cousins'
that.
Facebook page
There you
as
go.
well. They have the link.
CousinsAles.com. Check all the Facebook and everything is on there. You can get to it eventually. And check it out. It's going to be pretty cool. I want
Another
to go
great
too.
You guys should come.
Did you
I
check
want to
in
go,
with
but I
our
can't. I'll be in Rhode Island.
You'll
So.
be, okay, so you'll be away.
Old
biggest
Rhode
little state in the union?
Rhode Island or Block Island?
Rhode Island, Narragansett.
Narragansett,
Yeah.
very nice.
They got a nice brewery there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Some
I don't think they have
Black
any-
Duck Porter.
very
Is that
expensive.
Narragansett? No.
That is Narragansett.
Very expensive.
No,
Yes, it
there's
is.
really?
Very
I think
expensive.
so.
Some of the most
No.
expensive hookers in the country.
Oh,
Black-
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There.
New England's.
And isn't it like 16 or something? Like
So,
that?
No, you-
so
I don't know about that.
no. That part. So
Not
we've-
that I
no,
patronize
we've been
hookers,
through
of
this.
course.
We've been through this on the
No,
show.
never.
Prostitution is now illegal again in Rhode Island,
Oh, it is.
but they accidentally legalized it for about 15 years. And also, the legal age of consent in Rhode Island is 16.
Oh, I didn't know
so
that. Oh,
for
my
a little
gosh.
while, you could have gotten a 16-year-old hooker in Rhode Island. You
Oh, my
can't
God.
anymore. Now you need to date one.
All right.
Yeah.
See what
I
happens?
guess I'm just gonna have to eat seafood.
But
The real
but
seafood.
that
eat
being
seafood
said,
and do like shit with
technically-
my wife.
technically, a 16-year-old could be a stripper
Oh, my
in
God.
Rhode Island if she was not being photographed or videotaped.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
You know these laws pretty well.
He's pretty well
It's
versed.
from an episode. It's from an episode
researched
of
this heavily.
it's so this. Not
That's
to
when
go.
Jared Fogle was
yeah,
getting
Jared
into his,
Fogle.
when Jared Fogle was
Yeah.
being a little scamp.
Yeah, so there was something where Rhode Island, it was illegal to solicit sex on the streets for profit.
Okay.
Okay.
And then they did some weird thing where they made that illegal, but because of the wording of the law, it was legal to do it through like Craigslist
Okay,
or through
okay.
brothels,
Gotcha.
just because they just didn't say it was illegal to do it like from your house.
I got you.
But you just couldn't walk around and do it.
Wow.
So from a private residence or through Craigslist, you could
Do
be
it.
a prostitute
I'll be darned.
in Rhode Island, and they just reversed it in like 2017. But yeah, we know all of this because of Opie and Anthony and Jared Fogle.
Yeah.
Jared.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jared Fogle, for educating us. Yeah. Again, June 29th, Crazy Gene's Night of Comedy at Cousins Aleworks in Wappingers Falls. I will be there for the next one.
Cool.
Gonna be back
Yeah.
in
Well, I
that.
just
There
I
will
just
be.
put this one in my calendar, so I'll get some tickets and I'll be there.
Also,
Awesome, yeah.
also
Put
on
you
the
right up in the
YouTube,
front. Don't worry.
also on the YouTube chat,
Punch you in the fucking face.
also on the YouTube chat, the
I was-
religion of
oh, thank you.
atheism wants to let everyone know that Tupac is alive,
Awesome.
and that's
right.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you, for the religion of atheism, which is kind of like a
He probably follows this 'cause of,
Oxymoron.
Church of Satan.
yeah. Anyway, thank you, Gene. Thank you, Aaron.
Did we
Thank
do
you.
titles?
We didn't do titles. Fuck. All right. Adam's been.
Did you have any?
I have one.
Okay.
I will.
So Adam's been compiling a list
Yeah.
of titles throughout
That
the
part.
episode. Yeah,
I say I have podcasting, the laziest form of comedy.
that's the winner. But I have the green room behind the fermenters.
All right.
I take a shot in the face every once in a while,
That sounds so much worse.
and I've got a couple of Speedos on back order.
I don't know.
I got to go with podcasting is the laziest form of comedy.
I go with that too.
All right,
It's like
cool.
morning
Unanimous.
radio, except you do it for free and 1 day a week.
Yeah, and it's slightly below like improv
Yeah.
comedy. I'm sorry, I'm talking shit. I don't like improv comedy. Hashtag Speedos, please. Just to get the Speedo fans in there. There you go. You got to
This
make sure your
chalk
hat
sucks.
Yeah, well, it's free, so shut up.
Where do you get it from that it's free?
I have no idea.
Caldor.
There you go.
Marshalls.
Marshalls.
What was it?
Hmm?
Fuck. Never mind. All right.
Montgomery Ward.
Yeah, Montgomery Ward.
Montgomery.
All right. Until next week.
Yeah. Let's not forget plugs.
Not sure yet. What? Oh yeah, we gotta do plugs after this. So. See you kids next
All right.
week. Thank you guys.
So we don't have anybody next week, but I've got a couple ideas. So hopefully Lou and Roan from Grimmer Space.
No midget
see.
hookers.
No midget
No.
hookers. Not yet.
They're at Smiles.
Or the formally
they were.
smart.
Formally smiles. We were talking about that
Oh, we
before.
forgot
but-
about that. No, we're done. We gotta go.